Naomi's stomach twists as she stares at the glaring red F on her history paper. Her hands tighten around the edges, knuckles white. This can't be right. She poured hours into this assignment, meticulously citing every source, structuring every argument. Her heart pounds as she flips through the pages, searching for an explanation. Nothing. No feedback. No corrections. Just that single, unforgiving mark. A lump rises in her throat, but she swallows it down. Her eyes dart toward Miss Cartwright, who's casually sipping coffee at her desk. Oblivious, or maybe completely aware, of the fire she's just ignited. Naomi's chair scrapes against the floor as she stands, gripping her paper like a lifeline. Every step toward Miss Cartwright's desk feels heavier, like wading through quicksand. "Miss Cartwright," she says, voice steady, despite the storm inside her. "This grade, there must be a mistake." A hush falls over the room. Students glance at one another. Some lean in, eager for drama. Others shift uncomfortably. Miss Cartwright doesn't even look up. "I don't make mistakes, Naomi." Naomi's fingers curl around the paper. "But I followed the rubric, used more sources than required. I deserve an explanation." Now, Miss Cartwright raises her gaze, her lips pressing into something almost amused. "Oh, do you?" Miss Cartwright leans back, arms folded. "Maybe you just aren't as smart as you think you are." A slow, knowing murmur ripples through the classroom. Naomi's breath catches. The weight of those words, wrapped in condescension, lands like a blow to the chest. Her jaw tightens. "Excuse me?" Miss Cartwright exhales, shaking her head as if Naomi's existence alone exhausts her. "Look, some students simply overestimate their abilities. There's no shame in that." The words drip with something unspoken, something Naomi has heard before, but never so blatantly. A smirk plays at the corners of Miss Cartwright's lips, daring Naomi to react. Naomi's pulse rose in her ears. This isn't just about a grade. It never is. Every microaggression, every sideways glance, every moment of being doubted, dismissed, it all crashes down at once. She could let this slide, like so many times before. Take the loss, swallow the frustration, but then what? Miss Cartwright would keep doing this, to her, to others. Naomi grips her paper tighter. Number not this time. She takes a breath, steel settling into her spine. "I want my paper re-evaluated." Miss Cartwright's expression hardens. Her fingers drum against her desk before she exhales sharply. "You people always expect special treatment?" The words are barely audible, muttered under her breath, but Naomi hears them. And she knows. She knows. Miss Cartwright meant for her to. A sharp inhale comes from somewhere in the room. A few heads turn, eyes wide. Naomi's body goes rigid. Fire surges through her veins, but she forces her voice to stay calm. "Excuse me," Miss Cartwright waves a dismissive hand. "Oh, don't be dramatic, Naomi." Dramatic, as if her dignity is something she's making up. Naomi scans the room, searching for someone, anyone, to say something. Eyes dart away. A few students pretend to be absorbed in their notes. Others shift in their seats, uneasy but unwilling to step in. Someone records from the back, phone half hidden under their desk. But no one speaks. No one ever does. Naomi exhales slowly, her whole body vibrating with rage. She grabs her paper, shoving it into her bag with shaking hands. "This isn't over," she says, voice low but firm. Then, without another word, she turns and strides out of the room, not defeated, not broke determined. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone, Naomi." Her father's words echo in her mind as she flips through her case law textbook. Justice Malcolm Carter, one of the first Black Supreme Court judges. A name spoken with reverence. A legacy carved into history, but Naomi doesn't want to be a legacy. She wants to be seen for her own brilliance, not as his daughter. "You'll make a great lawyer one day." She knows, but only if people stop assuming she was handed the path. You're taking AP Government? The counselor's voice carries an edge of surprise. That's ambitious. Naomi forces a polite smile. I have a 4.0. It's not that ambitious. It's always the same. Teachers side-eyeing her achievements, classmates whispering about favoritism, like she hasn't earned every grade, every accolade, every win. Fine. If they want proof, she'll give them irrefutable evidence. Wow, you're so articulate. You must be on a scholarship, right? I didn't expect you to be in honors. Each comment alone is a paper cut. Together, they are 1,000 wounds, never deep enough to bleed but sharp enough to sting. Naomi learned early. Smile, nod, move on. Don't give them a reason to call you angry. But the weight of every slight is getting heavier. Naomi, can you speak on behalf of the black community? You probably got in because of diversity quotas. Honors classes feel like a battlefield. The only other black students are scattered, isolated. A sea of faces that either ignore or scrutinize her presence. The school brags about its diverse environment. But diversity without inclusion, that's just decoration. Naomi doesn't want to be tolerated. She wants to belong. You can't let this slide. Sophia's eyes burn with frustration, but Naomi sighs. She's exhausted. It's not that simple, Naomi mutters. It is. Sophia leans in. If you don't speak up, who will? Naomi looks away. She's tired of fighting alone. Enough. She's done playing by their rules, done swallowing injustice. Naomi grips her phone. If no one wants to believe her, she'll show them the truth. No more silence. No more doubt. This time she fights on her own terms. Miss Cartwright, I'd like to go over my grade. Naomi stands firm, her history paper in hand. Miss Cartwright barely looks up from her desk. The grade is final, she says coolly. Naomi's fingers tighten around the paper. But I followed the rubric exactly. That's enough, Naomi. Miss Cartwright waves a dismissive hand. Maybe next time you'll meet the standard. The words hit like a slap. Not the standard. The standard. One she's never meant to reach. Laughter drifts from the teacher's lounge. Naomi slows her steps. Some students need to learn their place. Miss Cartwright chuckles. Naomi freezes, the casual cruelty in her voice, like a joke, like Naomi's future is some punchline. Another teacher laughs. They always cry discrimination when things don't go their way. Naomi grips her backpack strap, her chest tightening. This isn't just bias, it's intentional. You got an A? Naomi's voice is tight. Jake shrugs, flipping through his graded essay. Half the length, fewer sources, no citations. Yet a bold A at the top. Yeah, Ms. C's pretty chill about grading, he says. Maybe your paper just wasn't what she was looking for. Naomi stares at her own work, pages of research, carefully crafted arguments. Her fists clench. Or maybe, she murmurs, it was exactly what she didn't want. Jake's paper was half as long, no sources. You gave him an A. Miss Cartwright doesn't even blink. Maybe he just wrote a better paper, she says smoothly. Naomi's stomach turns. That's not possible. And you know it? Miss Cartwright leans back, arms crossed. Oh, Naomi, stop being so sensitive. There it is, that smirk, that unshakable confidence. She knows Naomi can't touch her. Naomi grips the edges of her desk, her pulse roaring in her ears. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's not unconscious bias. Miss Cartwright doesn't want her to succeed. She wants her to fail. Naomi thinks of every time she's been overlooked, underestimated. It all clicks into place. She's not imagining it. She never was. You don't have to fight fair when they're playing dirty. Sophia's voice is sharp, yanking Naomi from her spiral. You have proof. Use it. Naomi exhales slowly. Miss Cartwright thinks she's untouchable. That's a mistake. It's time to stop asking for justice and start taking it. Since you seem to have so much to say, Naomi, why don't you educate the class? Miss Cartwright's voice is sharp, cutting through the classroom noise. The conversation had nothing to do with Naomi, but suddenly all eyes are on her. Naomi straightens. I'd be happy to, she says, keeping her voice steady. Miss Cartwright smirks. Oh? Then tell me, what do you think was the biggest factor in the civil rights movement's success? Simple question. Naomi knows the answer. Strategic legal battles and grassroots activism work together too. Ah, so you're saying legal action was more important than activism? That's a bold claim. Naomi frowns. That's not what she said at all. That's not what I... No, I think we all heard you, Miss Cartwright interrupts smoothly. She turns to the class. Naomi believes legal action alone won the civil rights movement. Does anyone want to challenge that? A few hands go up. A boy in the back speaks first. That's pretty narrow-minded. Change doesn't happen without the people. A girl chimes in. Yeah, activism was way more important than just filing lawsuits. Miss Cartwright nods approvingly. See, Naomi? This is why critical thinking matters. You can't just throw out opinions without considering the facts. Naomi's jaw tightens. She never said activism didn't matter, but arguing now would only make her look defensive. A few students chuckle. Someone whispers, she thought she was so smart. Naomi swallows hard, scanning the room. Sophia meets her gaze, lips pressed in a thin line. But she doesn't say anything. No one does. The laughter fades, but the damage is done. Naomi has been put in her place. Miss Cartwright clasps her hands. Let's move on. Someone who actually read the material. Explain the role of activism. Heat rises in Naomi's face, but she forces herself to stay still. This isn't just about proving her wrong. It's about making her small. I actually have research on this, Naomi says, reaching into her backpack. Miss Cartwright sighs. Oh, Naomi, always so prepared. Naomi ignores the mocking tone and pulls out her printed notes. Solid facts, clear evidence. She won't let this slide. Here, she says, stepping forward. But before she can hand them over, Miss Cartwright snatches the papers and, without even glancing at them, tosses them into the trash. A gasp, the room stiffens. We're discussing opinions, not Wikipedia articles, Miss Cartwright says, turning back to the class as if nothing happened. Naomi stares at the crumpled pages, her stomach twisting. This isn't just about disrespect. This is erasure. Naomi's hands shake. You didn't even read it, Miss Cartwright sighs dramatically. Naomi, if you want to argue, maybe you should join the debate team. Stop wasting my time. The words land harder than Naomi expects. Around her, students shift awkwardly. No one looks at her. She forces herself to breathe, but her throat is tight. If you had actually read it, that's enough. Naomi clenches her fists. The conversation is over. Not because she's wrong, because she's not allowed to be right. You're being disruptive, Miss Cartwright says smoothly. And honestly, your attitude is becoming a problem. Naomi's breath catches. My attitude? Yes. Instead of engaging in a healthy discussion, you're making this personal. If you can't handle criticism, perhaps you should excuse yourself. Naomi looks around. The class is silent. Not one person speaks up. Miss Cartwright crosses her arms. Principal's office now. The final stamp. Troublemaker. Difficult, angry. She threw my work away. She humiliated me in front of everyone. This is targeted. Principal Dawson doesn't even look up. Naomi, not everything is about race. Her stomach drops. I'm serious. This isn't the first time. Miss Cartwright is an experienced educator, he interrupts. Perhaps reflect on why you feel targeted. Naomi grips the chair. He's not going to help. No one is. Naomi, you haven't said a word since you got home. Her father's voice is calm, but Naomi doesn't look up. She pushes food around her plate, her appetite long gone. Her mother exchanges a glance with Justice Carter. Rough day? Naomi shrugs, but the lump in her throat won't go away. The laughter, the sneers, the principal's dismissal. It all replays in her head. Her father sets down his fork. Naomi, She finally meets his eyes. And just like that, the dam cracks. The words spill out before she can stop them. She threw my work away. She made me look stupid in front of everyone. Then she sent me to the office like I was the problem. Her mother's hand tightens around her glass. Her father listens, his face unreadable. And Principal Dawson didn't care. He just brushed it off like it was in my head. Tears threaten, but Naomi swallows hard. I don't know what to do. I'm tired of fighting. Her father leans forward, voice steady. You don't have to fight alone. Naomi braces for anger, but Justice Carter only nods. You said she twisted your words? Naomi nods. Humiliated you publicly? Yes. Dismissed evidence? Her hands ball into fists. She didn't even read it, just threw it away. A long silence. Then finally he leans back. Interesting, Naomi blinks. That's all you have to say? He exhales slowly, fingers tapping the table. No, Naomi, that's just the beginning. Reacting in anger won't fix this, Justice Carter says. We need a plan. Naomi frowns. A plan? Her father smiles knowingly. Miss Cartwright has likely done this before. And people like her, they always leave evidence. Naomi's mother nods. Emails, past complaints, patterns of behavior. Her father's voice is firm. We're going to hold her accountable. And this time, she won't have anywhere to hide. The next morning, Naomi walks through the school doors, head high. The whispers start immediately. Did you hear? Naomi got sent to the office yesterday. Miss Cartwright embarrassed her bad. She ignores them. They don't know what's coming. Sophia rushes up beside her. You okay? Naomi exhales. I will be. Because this time she isn't playing defense. She's here to win. Emails resurface. Past complaints come forward. A student from last year steps up. Miss Cartwright had done the same to her. Sophia leans in. Naomi, this is huge. Naomi stares at the messages on her phone. The Board of Education has been notified. For the first time, Miss Cartwright is the one under scrutiny. Principal Dawson avoids Naomi's gaze in the hallway. His usual dismissiveness is gone. Teachers whisper, students notice. Naomi catches the look of unease in Miss Cartwright's eyes before she quickly looks away. Sophia grins. They're scared. Naomi exhales. Good. The fight isn't over. But now, it's finally fair. Let's make this quick, Miss Cartwright says, settling into her seat. The principal nods, but his fingers fidget against the table. Naomi watches, unreadable. Then the screen flickers on. Thank you for including me in this discussion. Justice Carter's voice fills the room. Miss Cartwright's smirk vanishes. Her breath catches. Justice Malcolm Carter, federal judge, civil rights advocate, Naomi's father. She straightens in her chair. I wasn't aware that Naomi's father was a man who deals in facts, not excuses. His tone is steady, unshaken. She swallows hard. Miss Cartwright, he begins. Let's discuss the coincidence of Naomi's grade. He lays it out. Every inconsistency, every dismissal, every biased action. Your words, your actions, your history. His voice never rises, but the weight of it presses down. Tell me, is this still a misunderstanding? Silence. Principal Dawson clears his throat. Given the circumstances, we're launching a full review. Miss Cartwright stiffens. You can't be serious. This is out of my hands, he mutters. Naomi exhales. It's happening. Effective immediately. You're on leave pending investigation. Her teacher pales. Naomi just watches. Your grade will be corrected, the principal says quickly, as if that will fix everything. But Naomi knows. This fight was never about a number. She meets Miss Cartwright's eyes. This isn't just about me, and you know it. Her teacher looks away. Naomi walks out, shoulders squared. This wasn't just a victory. It was a warning. And she'll never stop fighting. Have you ever faced discrimination like this? Speak up in the comments. Your experience matters. Let's start a conversation. If the story resonated with you, hit like and share. Awareness is the first step to change. Subscribe for more powerful stories that challenge injustice and inspire action. Your support makes a difference.